Hi, man.
Hi, finally
Finally, finally.
here.
How are you? Good.
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Excellent.
After
So
9 minutes of trying.
it's happened sometimes.
Oh, thanks.
Uh, there is some issue in Instagram.
Okay.
Could you use your headphone?
Yeah,
I
I
could,
have my
I
mic.
could, I could hear the echoes.
I've attached a mic.
Okay. So, what about dimension?
Dimensions is doing great. We're growing and I'm really excited. How is Oasis doing?
Same, same.
I'm very happy to see that.
So, uh, let's start the question. The first question is: My child can say many words, but not really use them to ask, refuse, comment, or seek help. What can we do about it?
Yeah, that happens quite a lot, especially with children who have a diagnosis of autism.
Hmm.
They tend to learn a lot of vocabulary because that's being taught to them either by the caregivers or the clinicians, or they learn from the screens. And when vocabulary building becomes one way, it's just an input, 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 and it's not a conversation, or there is no opportunity to have the child explore it. They try using it, then it becomes just labeling or parrot like repetitions without building conversations. What we can do about it is, rather than doing a one way teaching, we should also consider eliciting responses. There's a big difference between teaching and eliciting. I believe if we consider eliciting responses and give child the time to process and respond, and if we can make it more real life based in real life situation rather than one way input, definitely we can shift this paradigm and make it two-way conversations.
So, could you tell us and give some practical example?
Okay. For example, we are teaching the child, say, open the door, and you keep a picture and teach, or there's an app and teach. Now everything is on apps. I believe
Yes.
whatever the child is, it's okay to learn with apps because tech is going to stay with us. If the child has learned something on tech, immediately shift it to real life. And when you're opening the door, don't just open the door. Instead, say, we're going to pause. And that's where we elicit that response. And that pause should be there at least for 3 to 5 seconds. We're going to open. So the child says open. If the child does not say open within 5 seconds or so, the caregiver puts that word there. So you don't put the child on spot and make them feel, oh, I miss saying open. You're building the child's confidence by setting them up for success. That's one example of how what they learn on app or tech or flashcards or books can be real life based.
So, important thing is the processing time. 5 second processing time.
Yes, 3 to 5 seconds processing time. Yeah.
The second question is: Parent often say this throughout the day. Do you think it's a good practice?
Absolutely no. Straight answer, no beating around the bush. The reason is because if we are going to constantly bombard the child and say, for example, I'll give you an example that will be very relatable. Even today in my consultation room, every day I see kids like that. The child comes the first time to meet me, and I greet the child, say, "Hi, how are you?" And I put my hand out. Before the child can even move the hand, the father says, "Hi, say hi to ma'am, give high five, shake hands." So both the parents are giving instructions at the
At the
same
same
time.
time.
Even if I pause to elicit a response, when there is like, we've already told this word, say, 1 10 times to 12 times. So what happens is the child is bombarded. He can't think or process. If they can't think or process, they will shut down and they just walk away. So, pausing again, back to the same thing. Pause. If somebody is saying hi, this is a greeting, and we do greeting every now and then in our culture. We do namaste, we say hello, hi, bye. That is very common. And when that greeting is consistent, and we're doing it regularly, right? It's good for us to pause. Child knows it, presume competence, believe that he will say, and give that 5 seconds processing time, because many of our children have a delayed auditory processing. They also have a slight delay in language processing. They've heard it, but they need time to understand what they've heard and create a response. And if we give that pause time, then that say, if that is taken off, I believe children will be more confident to communicate.
So, so do you think it's some kind of pressure from therapist?
I
Parent are
think it,
watching, parent are watching the therapies, and this processing time, in far, it does not like good. It does not look productive time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it could be. See, sometimes I feel I'm wrong. We need to be mindful of what we say and what we speak to the child. That's one thing. And I also believe that even if the therapist isn't saying, parents also have an underlying anxiety. They don't want someone to think that my child can't greet. And in that love for their child, in that protective nature for the child, unknowingly they end up putting so many words. So it's not just the therapist or the parent. Most people do this to our kids. And I think this is a wonderful question, because we are creating an awareness here. It includes teachers, it includes shadow teachers, it includes caregivers or babysitters, parents, therapists. For all of us, I think we need to pause and give
So,
the processing time.
so quiet time is also productive time.
Quiet time is also productive time. Again, quiet time is a stretch. This is a
Yeah.
pause time. Pause time
Pause
is,
time is also
yeah,
productive time.
very much.
Somebody has written something. Can we ask one question again so that he can talk, he can think, process, and accept him to answer after some times? Can we
Can
ask
we
ask
one
one
question?
question again so that he can think, process, and expect him to answer after some time?
Yes, we can. We can pause for 3 to 5 minutes. Say, for example, we'll go back to the context of the example of open the door.
Mhm.
So here you're just saying, we're going to, and you put the hand on the knob and you're waiting to elicit that word open from the child meaningfully as a communication, and the child hasn't yet. So after 3 seconds or 5 seconds, you could again say, we're going to, we can do that. And if the child doesn't say, you quickly put that word. Don't put them on the spot.
Great. So, if a child communicates through pointing, gesture, facial expression, or leading an adult, should parent insist on a spoken word before responding?
Yeah, yeah. What I would encourage parents to do is accept all forms of communication. I'm sure most therapists, if you're a therapist here, know how the neurons fire and how they are necessary for processing higher order thinking. And when it comes to the larger muscles, it's a lot easier to move. And the neural wiring is less complex. And it's very easy to move hands and talk for kids.
Mm-hmm.
However, when it comes to the oral motor structures, one, the muscles are teeny tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the organization in the cortical level is very complex. which means it's becoming harder and harder for the child to use the oral motor structures against using gestures with the hands. So it's easier for the child to say bye rather than saying, Amma, come, let's go home. And it's easier for the child to just wave their hands or drag the parent because it's larger muscles in action compared to using the teeny tiny muscles to communicate. I would encourage that all of us accept all forms of communication because communication is much more important than spoken words. Most likely, spoken words will follow larger muscle groups because oral motor is an extension of the gross motor to a large extent. And if we can understand that first the larger muscles work and then the smaller muscles follow, I think that will build confidence and patience for parents and therapists and for the child also. It's a lot of space for them to process, be themselves, and enjoy communication and interaction.
Uh, One more question is how to build a conversation. Can you explain with the help of example and also what we expect from low vocabulary child?
Uh,
How to build a conversation? Can you explain with the help of example?
how to build conversations with the help of example. So one is I would love to know the child's current vocabulary level. I don't know. Nevertheless, I'm assuming that the child has a few single word utterances or gestural communication at this point in time. For example, the child wants to, I'm going back to the door. I'm sticking to it because I'm going to build everything around it to make it easier for our listeners. Say, for example, the child wants to go out to play and the child is dragging the parent without using a word. The parent could say, understanding where the child is looking at, the child's body positioning. If the child's body position is towards the door, for me, the door is here. So if the child's body positioning is towards the door and the child shifts their body position towards the door, look at the door, or if the child is dragging the parent towards the door, instead of saying, say door, say door, say door, the
Hmm.
parent could say, oh, you want to go outside the door.
Yes,
You want to play. Go out. Come, let's go. Papa take you out.
it's a great
So,
example.
yeah. And when we do this like 10, 15 times, and see, I'm using short, meaningful words. Want to go outside? Open door. Papa take you. The child knows that I am validated. My communication is understood. What will the child do? He will try to communicate more in different contexts because he's validated, and that gesture adds meaning to the family. He's heard. He's going to do that more, and Papa's going to say that more. And when the child keeps hearing open door, open door, open door, maybe 20th time, he might say open door.
Yeah.
So, this is how you build communication by understanding what the child wants to say and adding meaning to it by saying the word for the child. We also call this as parallel talk. You talk for the child. And I want to add one more thing. There is a beauty in this. When the child is dragging the parent, he's going to look at the parent sometimes. Sometimes he won't look at the parent. But here's a circle of communication. Child looks at the door, drags parents. He initiates that communication. Then Papa says, want to go outside the door. Then the child looks at Papa, looks at the door. See the circle that's forming. And then Papa
Yes.
says, okay, Papa, open door. And then the child goes outside the door. So we have back and forth conversation happening, just that there are no words from the child. But if the child has single word utterances, we can add one more word. If the child has no utterances, we still put the word. Eventually, the child will learn the word. This is how two-way conversation or two-way communication or a circle of communication is built. Yeah.
Great. Uh, we are getting lots of questions. My son pronounces school as a cool.
Okay.
Spider is a spider. I think he's omitting something. Spring as a spring
Yeah.
and scale as a scale. Correct कैसे करें? How we can correct this?
Okay, this is a challenge with articulation, speech clarity. Now, is a consonant, is a constant.
Hmm.
When two consonants come together, it's called a cluster. And clusters are difficult for some children. They should be 5 to 6 years old to comfortably say clusters or
Hmm.
use clusters.
Hmm.
If the child's age range is 3 years, 2.5, it's going to be definitely challenging. In that case, if the child's age is lesser than 3, please wait, don't rush. Some children say it by 3.5, 4 also. Some children say it a little later. That's really fine. You just need to connect with a speech therapist and find out, is the child's age right for that cluster to be pronounced, or if you should wait.
Wonder child, Gurgaon. If a 7-year child is still not speaking or using single word labels, what could be the reason? Still, we should work on oral motor skills or find other way to communication.
I'm just looking for the question again. Looks like a longer question. Could you please repeat?
If a 7-year-old child is still not speaking or
Mm,
using single word labels, what could be the reason? And the question is two part. First part is this,
mm.
second part is still we should work on oral motor skills or find other way to communication.
Okay. Child is 7 years, still not started speaking. Could be many reasons. Could be an underlying diagnosis of a condition, maybe autism, maybe Down syndrome, maybe any other syndromic condition. We need to identify what is the underlying cause first and work on that underlying cause. That's number one. Number two, that will help us to come to a conclusion. Number two, there are so many other ways of communicating, not just words. We could also use alternative augmentative communication method, that's called AAC. AACs are low tech, they're also high tech. Low tech is use of objects, pictures, gestures. All of this is low tech AAC that can be used in communication. High tech is use of apps, use of devices that produce the voice, etc. That is also a great option for children who are not able to communicate using words by 7 years of age, because they have to have a way of expressing themselves.
Oh my God, so many questions. How much is tongue tie responsible to speech articulation? I mean, I think
Sorry,
it's
how much is
tongue tie responsible to a speech articulation. Tongue tie
tongue tie? Okay.
is responsible to speech articulation.
Yes, if there is a tongue tie, it can be a barrier for clear speech. Very much possible. A tongue tie release can be done by an ENT surgeon, but first they will evaluate if there is really a tongue tie or if the low muscle tone is appearing like a tongue tie. Once that is evaluated by the speech therapist and the ENT surgeon, then they will decide upon a tongue tie release. There are exercises before and after the tongue tie, because once the tongue tie is released, the tongue is confused. It's lost its existing motor plan. It has to create a new motor plan. Again, the proprioception comes into place there.
Yes.
So, working on exercise pre and post is important if you're thinking of a tongue tie release.
Do you think any specific age is, age
Uh,
is,
yes, definitely. We can do it beyond 3 or 4 years. See, some people do it even with babies who are just born, for better latching and feeding. But somehow, I'm not a big fan of that personally. I believe that you have to work closely. Each child
I
would
think
have a
your dad is ENT surgeon, right?
Yes, yes. My dad is an ENT surgeon and he doesn't put a knife on the children. He says they get traumatized, and he tells that we have to wait and we have to say all forms of avoiding surgery, and only if it is really essential and we've done everything, keep that as a last resort, which is why I am also hesitating to quickly recommend a tongue tie release. Yeah.
A perfect gene transfer.
Yeah, perfect.
So next question is, uh, my child repeat question scripts video or echoes other people. Should parents stop echolalia?
Yes, that is echolalia. That's a conventional word used. The new terminology is gestalt language processing, where children use chunks to express themselves.
Come again. What is this called?
It's called gestalt language processing. It's a more neurodiversity affirming phrase used instead of echolalia, which was conventionally used. So children use chunks to communicate. So today I had a child in my consultation room, and the parent was saying he didn't want to speak a single word, and but he can speak, and I know that. So the parents said, the other day took him to a mall, and he loves escalator, and for a moment I turned and I heard my child say from the back, "Get set go," at the escalator. He's probably learned it at school or on a screen, but contextually, he's telling himself, "Get set, go. Mama's turned that side. I'm going to scoot on the escalator." 6 years old. So that is an example of echolalia, which he's learned on a screen or school or some other environment. And he's contextually used it to express himself to himself. Um, that's an example of echolalia. Now, what if we think that the child is repeating, "I have to stop"? It's incorrect for us to do it because we are crushing what is already existing. That's one example. Another example that concerns parents and therapists a lot is you ask the child, "What's your name?" The child say, "What's your name?" That can get really concerning because instead of
Very common.
saying,
It's
yeah,
very
very
common.
common. Yeah,
Very
yeah.
common.
Yeah, it is. So, and then the child will say, "Hi, what's your name?" "What's your name?" "Chitra." So the child asks the question and then gives the answer. Sometimes they don't give the answer. Most likely, the child has not processed the question. And giving a tactile input, touch. I'm a big fan of sensory integration. You know that. In fact, we
Yeah.
became friends in a sensory integration course.
Yes.
So, a touch or a deep pressure proprioceptive input can alert the system to be more ready to process that question and then give the answer. That's a strategy I'm already saying. But I want to also reason out. Sometimes we hear our partner say, "Give me the scissor." And we've heard it, but we will still say, "The scissor, give you the scissor." We ascertain ourselves that is the right thing we've heard. Sometimes for a lot of our children, they're ascertaining themselves, "What is your name?" "What is your name?" "Chitra." So they are reassuring themselves that this is what they have heard, and then they say the answer. So don't stop it. See that as a form of communication that is helping the child do better. The more the receptive language increases, language understanding increases, this repetition will naturally come down. We don't have to do any rocket science for it. Just build receptive language, and this will come down.
Ah, great. So, questions. Can you please explain what is a presumed competence?
Presumed competence. Okay, this means instead of thinking that my child can't do, believe that your child can do. I'll give you another example. Today, I was talking to a parent in our center, and this child he's a new child running about and doing things, and the parent just finished telling me that the school has complained that he's pushing and hitting other children, and they're worried. And while they were talking to me, this child and I are interacting outside my room on a balcony. We have a beautiful balcony. We're standing there and talking. And another family came, parents and their daughter. The child, that she's also of the same age. And this boy went and welcomed that parent. No words, but see his communication. That's his to and forth communication. He welcomed that father inside, brought him inside, And quickly the mother said, "Don't push her."
Mm.
He never pushed that little child, but that's the mom's anxiety. Presuming competence would be, my child is not going to push, he's going to play. I believe he won't push. I believe he's going to play. But be watchful. But be watchful. Don't let that happen because you have it in your mind. But when you presume competence and believe that your child will learn, this is an opportunity, then the child could have interacted with the child, the other child.
Mm.
But quickly, if we say don't push, that means we've not presumed competence and we are giving a statement, hey, this is how you are. And the child believes I have to push. So, presuming competence is believing your child can without having an assumption that he won't do it or he will do it the wrong way. That's presuming competence.
I'm. I heard this, concept first time.
Okay.
Apologies. Uh, One question is, ma'am, is there any particular sequence for the autism therapy? Like usually, child with autism does not have eye contact and attention. So first, should we work on the pre-linguistic of the child?
Working on the pre linguistics is a great idea
Mm.
because eye contact doesn't come overnight. We can explore that. I mean, we can have an entire session to explore
Mm.
just eye contact. But yes, prelinguistic skills like in-seat behavior, attention, focus, joint engagement,
Mm.
happening between two people, shared interest with a caregiver. And then the caregiver and the child are sharing interest on an object.
Mhm.
We should work on it. It is important to work on it, but we don't overdo it in such a way that we forget that ultimately it's about functional communication. So I would say if there is a hierarchy, definitely yes. We first work on the child's regulation. A lot of sensory strategies come into the picture. We do environmental modification. We see if the child has a sensory need. I spoke about touch and proprioception, deep compressions that builds alertness and engagement. Some kids love to move with them. So don't force the child to sit. But if you're going to have a puzzle piece here and you're going to have a puzzle board there, pick the puzzle piece, fix the board, move, and then limit that distance. Slowly get into in-seat behavior, build that engagement, share interest with each other, then share interest with an object. Slowly that sitting, attention, focus will naturally develop without being enforced on the child. That's the only thing that I would say. Don't force the child to sit, don't force the child to look at you, but because you've made it so exciting and because looking at you is amazing, the child will want to naturally look at you. That is the way you need to look at eye contact.
Uh, Hi, is echolalia and Gestalt's language processing is same?
Yes, it is the same. Echolalia is a conventional term, Gestalt language processing is a novel term.
Uh, should parent make the child look into the eyes? It's already answered question. Next is, when a child does not respond, is repeating the same instruction louder and faster helpful?
If the child does not respond, don't shout and be loud because it creates a panic for the child. It's a fight or flight response after that. They'll either shut down or they just want to run away from you. Instead, touch. You're doing you're giving an auditory input. That auditory system hasn't taken quick response. Probably he needs more processing time to respond to you. Use other sensory systems to get that connection first, get that alertness first, and then you give the instruction. So instead of standing at the other side of the room, go towards the child, say the same instruction with touch, he will respond better. No shouting and no raising voice.
Ma'am, what should we do as speech therapy for epilepsy? Ma'am already answered. Uh, Next question is, my child does not sit for the formal speech practice. Does communication training have, have happened to a table? Only table, or it should
At
be play
home,
based.
right? Yeah. At home, see, you don't have to necessarily keep a table and chair and always work with a child. I mean, you and I don't do that, right? As parents, we move, we talk, we sit and we talk, we walk and we talk. So we don't have to always put a table and chair. But if you're focusing on, say, for example, nouns, or you're focusing on a preposition in, on, under, you're teaching that grammatical concept, you teach in a real life experience. Ask the child to get into a tub. Say, now you're in the tub. Topple the tub over and ask the child to stand on the tub and say, now you're on the tub. Make sure that the tub is strong. So, in this way, you can still teach prepositions. You don't necessarily need a table and chair. Make
So
it
floor,
natural.
so floor time is also very important.
Sorry?
Floor time.
Floor time, yes, use on the floor is really great.
Should parent correct every unclear sound, grammar error, or incomplete sentence, or can constant correction reduce confidence and willingness to speak?
Okay, I'll first take the grammar part. Grammatical structures are very difficult for children to acquire because they are represented in the higher cortical structures of the brain that requires more cognitive abilities, reasoning abilities, and it's not like teaching a pen. A pen is a pen, but teaching a concept like a pen, the pen, there is no image for a and the. The child has to understand that concept. And that happens only after the child has acquired skills like nouns, verbs, adjectives, prepositions, pronouns, and only then those grammatical structures, I mean, even prepositions and others are grammatical structures, but to add them and communicate. A boy is playing. A is, these structures will take time. So don't force it. Collaborate with your speech therapist. Check with them when is your child ready for that stage, and accordingly you progress. Okay, that is the answer to the grammatical structure. What was the other one?
Uh, Incomplete sentence.
Can you read the question again, please?
Should parent correct every unclear sound, grammar error, or
Okay.
incomplete sentence?
Got it. Okay. Every sound, every speech sound, if we're going to constantly correct, right, it's going to put the child into a lot of anxiety. And they're going to believe that they're always wrong. And if you're going to correct every word that the child is saying, then we're crushing their confidence. Why would they want to speak after that? So don't correct every sound, every word that the child says. Be patient, but proactively understand, is this the sound I need to target first? For example, p, b, m acquires is acquired earlier than s, z, r, l. Connect with your speech therapist and find out at what level is your child. For a 2 year old child, you don't need to work on t, d, n, r, l, s, z before working on p, b, m. This is according to the hierarchy. But for some children, they start with k sound. Whichever is easy, we build on that, which is why I'm saying it is complex. So connect with your speech therapist, find out, can I work on this sound? Can I correct this sound? And you work on just that one sound at that given point for consistency. If you're working on multiple sounds, you'll keep correcting. Child get frustrated, he'll completely stop speaking. I'd like to share an example here. I had a child who came to me with 0 words. Within 2 weeks of therapy, he picked up words and he started coming out with a lot of words. And the parent was thrilled, excited, but they started enforcing clarity. And I told the parents, hey, don't do that now. He needs to acquire a series of words to put together, need to talk in sentences. Only after that, we should work on speech clarity. If you do now, he will stop speaking. They just didn't listen. And guess what? He completely shut down. He lost all the words. A
So
lot of
takeaway.
precious time.
So takeaways don't force.
Yeah, don't force.
So I have one personal question. Uh, Non-verbal child could read and write.
Mhm.
It's a very common. So what could the reason? Somebody can read. Why? speaking or speech is so, not coming up.
Yeah. See, again, speech is very complex. It's not
Mm,
just the mouth, right?
mm,
It's a lot to do with your psychosocial skills, emotional development, how safe they feel, um, how what kind of a environment are we giving for the child to speak? Is it conducive?
mm,
Now, I will speak more when I'm happy, and I speak even more to a person I'm very comfortable with. But I will speak very lesser to a person who's controlling me or trying to enforce things on me or whom I'm afraid of. Correct? We all go through that. Likewise, for kids, if that beginning experience has been traumatic, then they mostly shut down and they don't prefer to speak. That's one thing. There is also another group of autistic individuals who prefer not to speak.
but
They
he
say,
can
I
speak.
don't, yeah, they say, I don't want to speak. Why should I speak? I can communicate through reading and writing. I don't want to speak. If that is a decision they are making, we should respect that decision. There's a book, it's written by a person called Tito,
Tito को पता है.
Beyond Silence. And he's written multiple books, but he doesn't speak. He got his words, but once he wrote and he expressed that, I don't want to speak. But he writes books, he writes poetry. So that's their decision. We need to validate that.
Yes, Tito is a good example, and
Yes.
everybody is citing him.
Yeah, yeah.
He's phenomenal.
He's phenomenal. And my first job was with his therapist, Dr. Pratibha Karant.
Pratibha.
Yeah, and
Rapid,
ma'am
rapid,
has.
rapid prompt method.
Sorry.
Her mother discovered the rapid prompt method.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. So next question is: parent often worry the sign of, or no? Parent often worry about the AAC will stop a speech from developing, and the AAC they're very apprehensive about AAC.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a valid concern. That's a valid fear and anxiety for families. Maybe they've heard other parents say that my child used AAC and he stopped speaking, because I've also seen that, especially kids coming from the US during the vacations for therapy. They
Hmm.
use a lot of this app, and if there is no charge in the app while they're flying or something, then the child doesn't have any other way to communicate.
Hmm.
So I'm sure there are stories like this that other parents hear as well, which is why parents are afraid. And that's very natural. But what I would encourage is, if the child is using ASCs, don't limit the child only to ASCs. Also have other forms of communication. See, now we use words to communicate. Do we use signs and gestures? Yes.
Yes.
Do we use facial grimaces? Yes. We use all forms of communication. So I believe if a child is using AACs, we should not limit only to AACs. We should also accommodate all forms of communication. In this way, the child continues to use AACs. We're also facilitating speech. We're not saying we will teach only AACs, we're also adding words. So when we do this together, then speech also develops. So we're giving opportunities for speech also to develop and not sticking only with one mode of communication.
Great. So, how can parent practice speech goal at home without turning every interaction into the therapy session?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. And I think a very important question also.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes parents are confused also, because therapists say that you have to keep speaking, or doctors. These days we have um, di- different types of doctors doing different types of things for autistic children, especially, which is good in a way. But I believe, because I've seen prescriptions, talk to your child 24/7.
Hmm.
One parent came and told, I went for a therapy center and my child was looking at the fish tank and admiring it. And the therapist just walked in and said, what, simply you're sitting with your child. Talk to him. Tell him, where is the fish? What is the color of the fish? So if you're so when I'm saying that parents are constantly asking the child to talk, it's also because of what they are hearing from people like us, like you and I, professionals. And they believe they should do that. So, firstly, come out of that. Now, we don't keep talking 24/7 to our husband or wife or to anybody around us. And why are we doing that to our kid? Why are we loathing ourselves and the child? And if everything looks like you're teaching the child, eating time is teaching, bathing time is teaching, everything becomes teaching, it's going to be a big negative impact on the child's psychosocial development.
A-
So,
And
go ahead.
aversion from therapy is starting. No? The therapy aversion is very, very common after 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, yeah. So I believe that we don't make our homes as therapy rooms, but our home should be a home. Children need one speech therapist outside the house. They want mom to be mom, dad to be dad. And I believe we should go with that. Yes, of course, we need to remember okay, today the therapist has asked me to work on two nouns and two verbs. The noun is water bottle and toothbrush. So when you're doing that, emphasize on those words and stick to that. And you can generalize, you can give opportunities to communicate, but the teaching mode should not be there. We already discussed it, no? The
Yes.
teaching mode should not be natural and be available emotionally. And then the teaching, you can have a specific time for teaching, 5, 10 minutes or 20 minutes also is fine. But everything should not be converted into teaching, is what I would say.
Gunjan is saying, please suggest good book for speech delay and autism.
Please suggest a good book for speech delay,
And autism.
autism. There is this book by Dr. Stanley Greenspan. It's called Engaging Autism. It's an
Available in
amazing book,
it's available,
Engaging Autism,
available in Amazon.
available in Amazon by Dr. Stanley Greenspan.
Uh, so now five rapid fire question, just very brief, one word or one sentence. Force eye contact before responding to the request.
No, accept all forms of communication. Connection is important.
Correct every unclear word immediately.
Repeat again, please.
Correct every unclear word immediately.
Don't. If you do that, the child will shut down and stop talking.
Wait quietly after modeling a word or phrase.
Excellent. That gives processing time.
Use gestures, pictures, signs, or AAC alongside a speech.
Excellent. That's the way to go forward.
Ask fewer test questions and make more meaningful comments during play.
Absolutely. We need to stop testing our child and make things natural and elicit responses.
So just checking any question which is still need to be answered. Sir, if you come in OT room and after some time he starts sleeping in the case, what should we do? I think it's not related to today's topic. R and S में problem है. Somebody saying there's problem in articulation in R and S.
Okay, R and S. R and S usually comes after 6 years of age. If your child is less than 6 years of age, don't worry at all. If your child is crossed 6 years of age, then please meet with a speech therapist. They will evaluate and identify why that articulation problem is there, and you can proceed with therapy.
One more question. When I tell you to speak some words, my 6-year-old son is starting short breathing. Please help me. One more
Uh,
question. When I tell to speak some words to my 6-year-old son, starting short breathing,
okay,
breathless.
he's becoming
Yes.
breathless. Just check if he's becoming anxious. Because when you're saying to speak and if he's becoming breathless, possibly question mark, there's an anxiety, or is he having a stammering, or he's going to stutter. I think you have to immediately connect with the speech therapist because they will be able to see why this is happening and they will be able to remediate it with you. And if there is further referral to be given, they will definitely guide you on that.
Do you think it could be related to some lung pathology?
Sorry?
Do you think it's related to some lung pathology?
Which is why I said it, if it is breathless and if it is to do with anxiety or if it's to do with stuttering, if it is to do with anything else, the speech therapist can take care of it. If it is beyond challenge with lung capacity and things like that, an ENT referral or a neurologist referral will be given.
Oh, so many questions. How can autistic children with level 2 autism who is currently non-verbal become verbal?
Okay,
Level 2?
non-verbal becoming verbal. I think most of our conversations were around that. You want to add anything?
No, it's already answered, I think.
Yeah.
Sir, I am using reinforcement to initiate a speech in child, but child refused to utter anything. Why so?
Okay. Okay. I like this question because it gives us room to talk about intrinsic motivation.
Yes.
Giving a reinforcement externally, you're trying to create a motivation, possibly because you're thinking the child doesn't have intrinsic motivation. But what if I say that emotional connection with the child, engagement with the child, ensuring the child is in optimal alert state by keeping the child happy, by ensuring the child's sensory needs are met, will facilitate back and forth fun activities like play social games, peekaboo, hide and seek, those kind of things. That in turn will facilitate giggling, laughing, and through that, they identify their voice, and from there, you build words and sounds. I would say external rewards may not always help, but that engagement and connection, that the joy of being with you will elicit speech better.
Great. If a child make the communication like a tuned conversation, like rhymes often, what will be the reason how to look at it?
This child could be a Gestalt language learner because they are singing and learning. That's, I think, from our Coimbatore team. They're singing and learning. They enjoy singing. Kids who sing and learn have great memory. That's
Oh,
how they will be able to recite and remember a sequence of words in the song. What you could do, for example, is if the child has learned Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and you say, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little, pause. Let the child put the word star. How I wonder what you are. And if we can also support with pictures and images at that time, twinkle, twinkle, little, and you show the picture of the star and the child says stars, star. Next time, without you singing, when you show the picture of a star, the child will be able to say the word star. And likewise, generalize it in different situations, they will pick it up.
I think it's a technical question. One of my child is having vacant stairs during session time. Can it be absent seizure?
Maybe, please connect with your neurologist immediately.
Yeah, go ahead. Nice session. Thank you. How can we manage stuttering? Kindly explain some techniques.
Okay, for stuttering techniques, you need to take a course of sessions. Just on the screen may not help fully. However, I'll give a few tips. One is avoid commenting on the stuttering incident or the instance. Don't say stop, try again, talk properly, repeat again. Those kind of commenting you should stop because it puts more anxiety, more awareness, and more stammering. Instead, be neutral, allow the child to talk. If you've understood what they're saying, rephrase it and move to the next. I think that is one tip I leave here. Otherwise, you have to work closely with a speech therapist.
So let's conclude. I think there are so many questions, so we'll take it some other, we'll answer in some other session.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you so much, ma'am.
Most
It's
welcome.
it's pleasure to have you.
Same here. Pleasure to connect again and answer all these questions.
I think it's one of the best sessions, and
Thank you.
audience are enjoying, still asking questions. So that's it. So do one thing. You can download the session. So when you cross this now, so there is option of downloading. So please download it.
I'll do that. I'll
Thank
send it
you.
to you. Yeah. See
Thank
you.
you,
Bye
sir.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.